Hey, welcome to Hey Nay. um, Today's topic is about fighting and dating, and I'm ready to jump right into this fighting. So, the first question is fighting healthy in a relationship? Absolutely. What is a relationship without fighting? um, I like to think of fighting as um, and obviously, right now I'm talking about non-physical. Just want to make that clear too. I'm talking about non-physical fighting. Uh, I think that I think it's good because I'm explaining. Everyone is their own individual. Okay, so if you are a certain way and this person is a certain way, you're not always gonna be on the same page about things, and that's good because when you explain or share your differences, the two of you can grow closer together with the understanding of each other's views. It may even create your own view together. And I hope that makes sense. But that is just sort of like a quick answer to that. What if you never fight at all? Um, this Hey Nay writer brought up an example about how he was in a relationship where they didn't fight for 1.5 years, and he found out there was no passion in the relationship. And you know what? I think that is such a great point because people always say, and I like that the term that was used was passion because a lot of people say that I need a girl who's gonna push me back or tell me when I'm wrong, or ladies are like I need a guy who can handle all the craziness I deal with and stuff like that, or who can handle how I talk and how I act, different things. I've heard both sides, and I think that's good. You pretty much you're trying to say is that you are you're saying that you want the relationship to be special. You want it to stand out. You want it to be more than average. And sometimes that's like very good. Sometimes it's not so good. But you don't want it to be stale. You don't want it to be normal. People always say like, I want fireworks. I want the spark. I want something, and usually that comes with a little bit of back and forth or a chase, as people like to say. Like when they get to chase you or whatever, sometimes people like that. So it's sort of like saying that the relationship is challenging, and then if I'm or you or we are able to sort of beat this challenge, then we've accomplished our relationship. We've accomplished a passionate relationship. So, to get more into the answer, where I'm kind of leading with this, is that a lot of people who don't fight in their relationships do feel like their relationships is average, passionless, not with much going on. And it's so fun because I feel like I do catch myself saying this sometimes too. When I look at certain people's relationships, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you guys look so boring. Like you don't look exciting. You don't look thrilling. You don't I want to envy you, but I can't envy you because there's nothing to envy you for. I'd rather be alone than be in whatever you guys are in. So, and that's just the honest truth. And sometimes I feel that way. And like some people think that all right, I'm going a little off, but I just want to make this point. So, some people believe that just because they're in a relationship and you may not necessarily be in one, that you're just automatically jealous of them. Let me be clear here. That is not the case, okay? That is not the case. Not all the time. For majority of people, I want to say it's really not the case. I don't. I'm speaking Obviously, I'm speaking of personal experience, but I know for me, I don't necessarily want to be in a relationship like certain people are in. Just because you got someone doesn't mean that I want that person to, or I want to be in whatever dynamic that the two of you have. No, I'd rather be by myself than deal with whatever that is because it looks boring. Like, in my mind, what the two of you may be doing alone is, I don't know, twiddling thumbs because it doesn't seem like you do anything of substance. Okay, now that was a bit of a Nay rant, so I'm going to bring it back, I'm going to bring it back to you guys. I'm going to bring it back. And get back to the question that the Hey Nate writer asked. And it's just about, you want a relationship that is essentially not easy. And I know everyone was like, I just want something easy. No, you don't. You don't. You don't want something easy. You want something that you work for. You want to earn your relationship. You want to be the one that said, like, we've been through so much and look at where we're at now. She felt this way, I felt this way, and now together we're like this. I respect her views, or I respect his views, and now we've come to an agreement. And I think this is huge. This is a huge question, and I'm glad this was asked. Should you ever go to bed unhappy with your SO, significant other? If you are cohabitating, absolutely not. So, and when I say cohabitating, that means you live together. So if you are living together with a significant other, you should not go to bed unhappy. The reason behind that is because it can fester. And if it festers, it can fester for a very long time. And again, this is where things become complacent. You're not addressing your issues. You know what I mean? You're not addressing it. You're just sweeping it underneath the rug. Eventually, if you sweep everything underneath the rug is going to stick up, and then one of you going to trip, and one of you are going to get hurt. Do you get what I'm saying when I say that? Like, one of you is going to hurt. One of you is going to end up having to go somewhere else, having to leave. Do you get what I'm saying? This is how breakups sometimes happen, is because there's no communication. You can communicate even when it's about negative things, even when it's about issues. So you have to work with your partner on that. So I highly recommend not going to bed unhappy. If you don't live together, again, I would recommend not going to bed unhappy. But there is a little bit of wiggle room. It's okay if you let it, you sleep on it. You sort of, if you're not together, if you're not sleeping in the same bed, then it's okay for, you to just take the night, think about what was said, and think about what is going on, and then the next day to address it. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So just keep that in mind. What do you feel are the most common fights in a relationship? Okay, that's great. So what I feel are the most common fights in a relationship is definitely about trust. Most people don't necessarily trust their significant other. And I've said this so many times on this YouTube channel that you should absolutely not be with anyone you do not trust. That is key. You should not be with anyone you do not trust. But trust is a huge thing. Also, it sort of goes into... There's something I really want to talk about with you guys, and I don't want to talk about it now, even though it's so related. It's so related, but I'm saving it for a future episode. But if there's something called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and I've been reading it, and I'm in love with the book. So if you read the book, you kind of know where I'm going with this, what I'm saying with that. But sometimes common fights happen because we're not speaking the same language. But I'll talk about that more in another episode. But that's also true. Also, we also tend to fight about our differences, major differences. Not the minor ones sometimes, but the major differences are the most common. For instance, family, why is your family supportive of you? They should be helping you out. Because you're used to your family being so supportive of you that you would assume that her or whoever, your SO's family will be supportive of them too. That's not always the case. Religion. I believe this way, you believe another. How is this going to work? Because I really do care for you. You know, is this accepting what, are we able to work this out? And how would our family, here we go, family comes back into it. How would our family feel about that? Nothing to think about. Location. When am I going to see you? I haven't seen you. When are we going to see each other? You don't make time for me. Why don't you make time for me? You seem to be doing this. Maybe, why are you so busy? Things like that. And I know that sounds annoying me saying, but these are the things that we argue about. These are the things that we fight about. And like I said, you just have to be communicating with people. Just explain to them, like, hey, babe, I'm going to be real busy this weekend because of work or because of school. And, I'm trying to catch up to be prepared for this test and things like that. I hope you can understand. I hope you can understand that I won't be much around this weekend. But come Sunday night, I could probably come pick you up and we can go somewhere and eat. That sounds reasonable, right? Sounds reasonable to me. So you have to communicate that. If you explain things to someone, they have no questions. Do you get what I'm saying? They have no qualms about what you're saying. If everything is clear, if I understand what's going on with you, then I shouldn't have a problem with that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. The last question is fighting in public appropriate? I would say no. I think you should have your fights in private. But, I also feel like if you're in an environment in which everyone there really knows you well, and you've been together for a long period of time, and the fight is not about something major, then it's okay if you're fighting in public. Like, if, a girl comes to me and says, like, Naquan, I told you to take the lasagna out of the oven. Why didn't you do that? Because you didn't tell me to take the lasagna out of the oven. Yes, I did. No, you did not. You know what? You always do this. And mind you, there's like 30 people in the room watching this. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this right now. Do you want to step out to another room or do you want to do this right now? I want to do this right now. Okay, we're going to do this right now. I did not do the lasagna, blah, 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 blah. That is nothing, because that's something minor that you guys could brush off and everything. But you have to be considerate of your significant other. So if your significant other is not really is a very private person, then they may not necessarily want to have confrontation or discussion like that in front of other people. But if the two of you are very open and extroverted, then it probably won't be an issue. And honestly, it'll be a little bit comedic in the future when you think about it in retrospect. But I also want to bring up something since we're talking about fighting. I do want to go to the physical part. Another common fights are abuse, partner abuse. And I do want to just take a little bit of a serious tone for a second and say that partner abuse, domestic violence is not okay. And if any of you feel that you are in a situation in which if your life is being threatened or in any single way, I highly recommend you to end that relationship. You should also seek help. I'm going to post in the comments, ways in which you can seek help for, abuse, someone you can talk to, hotlines and things like that. So please take advantage of those resources if you're in a situation like that. Now, this is also for the perpetrators. If you are a person who can sometimes lose their temper or sometimes have an outburst in which you have, threaten your significant other or hurt someone or try to hurt them, you need to reevaluate yourself. And I highly recommend you ending that relationship too. I highly recommend you finding out who you are, reevaluating yourself, and getting the help that you need. And I know there's a lot of hotlines and services as well that can help counsel you through that. So I highly recommend doing that. Abuse is not okay. No one should be hurting anyone. Doesn't matter. Whether it's man and woman, women and women, man and man, no one should be hurting anyone. Thank you. So I want to thank you guys for watching this. I hope you've taken away something from this episode, because it's something that I have wanted to do for a while, and I'm glad that I finally was able to do it. So like, love, share, and remember to always start your day off with a hey. Goodbye.